Good morning and welcome to our morning meditation. And good morning to everybody who's joining us online today. Thank you for being with us as we connect today in consciousness. My name is Kelly Kapsar and I'm the practitioner for the day. Please take a moment to silence your cell phones so that we may have an uninterrupted experience together. This meditation is a blend of spoken word and silence accompanied by some beautiful music. It will last approximately 15 minutes. So, first thing I want you to do is simply take a breath all the way in and all the way out. And notice how your breath moves into your lungs, the backs and the bottoms and the sides of your lungs. And invite your awareness to drop with your breath into your hips, feeling the support of the chair. And dropping your attention into your feet. Letting your breath and the breath of the earth become one and the same. Remembering that there truly is only one, for everything started from the spark of divine. And so as you feel that connection with the earth, I invite you to bring up the nurture and support that the earth always gives us. Not once has she ever let us out of her gravitational field, unless we work really hard to do so. And allowing your cells to fill with the nurture and support. Through your feet, through your legs, into your hips and your belly, into your heart and your lungs. Feeling that nurture and support moving into your spine. And feeling that nurture and support move into your head. And out the top of your head, connecting with Divine Source. And so today's theme is make a joyful noise. And if you think about what makes a joyful noise in your world, which parts of your body are part of making a joyful noise? Frequently, the first thing we think of is our voice. How does our voice make a joyful noise? I invite you to picture a time when you were making a joyful noise and really tune into your throat. And what did your throat feel like as you were making a joyful noise? that memory of that joyful noise, to fully be present in your throat. Maybe that feeling of stretching or aliveness. Maybe your heart was involved in making a joyful noise. Bring in that memory of your heart and how it felt. Taking the breath in and dropping your awareness to your hands. What were your hands doing as you were making a joyful noise? How did your hands feel? I'm seeing pictures of lots of jazz hands, maybe clapping. Bring that memory, that sensory awareness into your hands and let your hands completely fill. Taking the breath in all the way in and dropping your awareness to your knees and your feet. What were they doing? How did they feel when you were involved in making a joyful noise? And so for the next several minutes, I invite you to let your feet and your knees and your hands and your heart and your throat fill in your entire body with that memory of a joyful noise that you were making. So, in the next moment or so, I invite you to thank your body for remembering this and for sharing its memories. I invite you to come back easily, gently, gracefully, back here to this time and this room and this right now. So thank you all for joining me. I always love dives into how our bodies are doing and the memory of that divine connection. So this concludes our today's meditation. Thank you all for being here with us in spiritual practice. Service will begin at 10 o'clock, and you are welcome to move about the cabin as you so choose until then. Thank you.
Keeping it real, keeping it real, keeping it real, keeping it real, keeping it real with Reverend Laura. Keeping it real, keeping it real, keeping it real, keeping it real, keeping it real with Reverend Laura.
This is Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Las Vegas. At CSL Greater Las Vegas, it is our mission to inspire spiritual discovery through community connection, exploration, and celebration. This mission supports the all-inclusive vision of Centers for Spiritual Living worldwide, in which we envision a world that works for everyone and all of creation.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Las Vegas. I'm Reverend Laura Hallett, and it is my pleasure to be the senior minister here. And what a wonderful joy it is to see so many people here. And I want to send a special welcome out to our people who are viewing us online today. We have two of our practitioners with you, so interact with them on the chat. Say hello. They would like to know where you're from and what's happening for you today. So a special thank you to Lynn Frankenberger and Leslie McKinnon for hosting our online audience with us, and I'm so grateful to have all of you here in person. We have our practitioners Debbie Little and Sheila Callum, along with our practitioner of the day, Kelly Capsar, who are here to hold high watch for you and to know that truth for you at all times throughout the day. At the end of service, if you'd like to have prayer, Sheila and Debbie will be out on the patio here, and you just stop here at this door, and Kelly will direct you to one of our practitioners if you'd like to have your own personal prayer. If you haven't experienced our spiritual mind treatment yet, it's a wonderful thing to give yourself, a gift to give yourself. So if you're having any kind of challenges in your life right now and you'd like a little prayer for that, go see them. And if you're having something that's happening in your life right now that's really good and you want it to continue, go see them for that too. They're really good at knowing that. And Lynn and Leslie will be happy to take prayer requests for our online audience as well. So just put that in the chat. Or you can go to our website and submit a prayer request through that too. So, all right, we are going to start off, as we do every Sunday, with some fabulous music. Our music director, Justin Vogel, is here with us today, and so let's kick it off.
All right, welcome everybody. So if you're comfortable, please stand and join us for our opening song, Energy of God. Yeah. I am the energy of God. 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 Peace, peace, peace. I am the energy of 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 peace. Love, love. I am the energy of love. I am the love. I am the energy of love. I am the energy of love. Energy of God. I am the 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 energy of God.
Perfect. Thank you all so much. It's a wonderful time to take an opportunity to greet each other every morning, and so I appreciate you energetically doing that. That was wonderful. Thank you. So I'm going to invite up our practitioner of the day, Kelly, to set the tone for our time together with an invocation and our affirmation.
Good morning. So, our affirmation today, which I would love for all of you to repeat after me, please, is I attract joy and joyful situations to me. I attract joy and joyful situations to me. And one more time, just to really feel it in your bodies. I attract joy and joyful situations to me. All right. And we'll have a little bit of a moment of silence, and then we'll go into the invocation. And so continuing in this moment of joy, in this knowing of joy in this invitation and acceptance of joy. I simply know that there is only one life, one love, one grace, one peace, one joy. And I know that all of that comes from the divine spark. And all of that is completely present in every cell, every fiber of my being, and therefore of your being. And everyone and everything that we come in contact with, that spark of joy, truly is right there. And so we breathe that in, knowing that this time together is the perfection of divine in action, the perfection of God in action. That each and every one of us here have said the sacred yes. The sacred yes to this divine appointment, the sacred yes to being and accepting the space and place of joy. And for this and so much more, I'm so very grateful. I breathe that in, letting joy expand throughout my being, throughout my consciousness, throughout my world. Knowing that as we embody that for ourselves, others are invited to do the same. And so with deepest gratitude for what already is, what is becoming, every step that has brought us to this very moment, I'm so very, very thankful. And I simply release it into the arms, into the love, into the support, into the joy of divine. Knowing that God's got this. God's got us. And breathing in together one more time. We simply say, together, and so it is.
When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say, it is well, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. Whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well tendeth my way when sorrows like sea billows roll. Whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say, it is well, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well, it is well with my soul. It is well, it is well with my soul. My
Wow. Well, I don't know about anybody else, but after that prayer and song, I kind of feel complete. But never wanted to miss an opportunity to speak on one of my favorite topics, so here I am. So we are working this month with the idea of joy, bringing more joy into our lives, and how joy is a necessary component of building a community, which is what we are all about this year at Center for Spiritual Living. I've been working with the book called The Book of Joy, which is a recollection of a week where the Archbishop Desmond Tutu and His Holiness the Dalai Lama spent together at the Dalai Lama's compound in India, celebrating his 80th birthday. And so the book is all about these two people and the joy that they have being together and the joy that they bring to every situation that they are in. And so in the book, it talks about the 8 pillars of joy. And so far, we've gone through 4 of them. We're working now on the pillars that have to do with the heart. The first 4 pillars had to do with the mind, how we change our perspective, how we can begin to accept the things that are happening to in our lives through humor, through humility, and how we can begin to change the circumstances around those by practicing each of those 4 principles. Again, they were perspective, humility, humor, and acceptance. 4 perspectives, 4 qualities from the mind that are necessary components of joy. We're going to move into the heart ones now, which are forgiveness, gratitude, compassion, and generosity. Even when I say those words, I can feel a difference between the head and the heart. When I think about perspective, that's a kind of a mental activity. But when I think about generosity, that's more of a heart-centered activity. And so as we look at these 8 critical components to experiencing joy in our lives, it's necessary to have a little bit of all of those in us to move into that greater feeling of joy. So today the focus is on gratitude and forgiveness. And I titled the talk today, To Make a Joyful Noise, because for me, gratitude and forgiveness are spoken aloud. They are feelings that actually come out in a noise, in a joyful way in my life. And so the 2 of them have been very strong practices for me for quite a while. You know, I grew up listening to country music. I don't know if anybody else did, but one thing about country music is they have the most phenomenal titles to their songs. So one of the songs that I loved was, the title of it is Somebody Done Somebody Wrong song. And the main line is there, hey, won't you play another Somebody Done Somebody Wrong song and make me feel at home while I miss my baby. So this idea of this somebody done me wrong, I think every one of us has somewhere in our life a somebody done me wrong song. You know, that something has happened to us, even sometimes it's things that we've done to ourselves, that we feel like we've been wronged. And each one of those is an opportunity for us to engage in the practice of forgiveness. Forgiveness is that, well, this is how it was explained to me when I first started with Centers for Spiritual Living. I was taking the Foundations class, and Reverend Doug, our minister at the time, said about forgiveness, he says, you know you've forgiven somebody when they can pass through your consciousness and you don't feel anything. You don't have a pull anywhere. You don't have a remembrance of that thing that they did wrong, that somebody done me wrong song thing. It's not attached to us anymore. I heard somebody describe these things as a hook in us. And every time that situation comes to mind, you feel that hook pulled. You can just imagine something sticking in your skin, and every time you feel that situation come up or you think about that person, there's this tug at you. Other people have described it as chains, and we have these chains that hold us back and so forth. So there's a lot of work has been done around forgiveness, and there are thousands and thousands of studies, scientific studies done about the effectiveness and the power of forgiveness in our lives. But for me, it was that thing of, I don't want that pull anymore. I want to be able to think about the person, because the person I needed to forgive greatly was in my life and wasn't going to leave my life. And so I needed to get over the situation. I needed to move through the situation in a way that would let me be okay with it. And so for me, the practice of forgiveness became a very consistent thing that I did until I actually reached that point, to the point of where the person now goes through my mind and I don't have to worry about it at all. I don't have all those icky feelings that were attached to it. I don't have all of the anger. I don't have the fear. I don't have any of those things that were associated with it because I have done the practice of forgiveness. I spoke last week a little bit about the practice that I use. It's called the loving kindness meditation. I use it for lots of different things, but I started doing it for forgiveness. And because it got me to a place of forgiving myself first for anything that had to do with this situation or actually anything else. I always started with myself. And then I can move it outward. And you move it outward to the next person, and then you can move it outward into the world. But this idea of forgiving is so powerful. There's so many books about it, and it's written about in every single Holy Scripture in the world. There is some portion of that about forgiveness. In fact, one of the most famous stories in the Bible is about forgiveness. And Jesus is talking to his disciples and telling them how important it is for them to forgive. And one of the disciples says, "What, you mean I have to forgive 7 times? And Jesus looks at him and says, "No, 70 times 7. Now, he didn't mean you have to go out and do it 490 times. What he meant when he said 70 times 7 was that it needs to be done all the time. It's not a one-time thing and you're done. It needs to be done constantly and completely and repeatedly done over and over and over again until you feel that place inside of you that doesn't have any attachment to the situation. It's no longer attached to your somebody done somebody wrong song. Forgiveness is a powerful, powerful practice. The Archbishop Desmond Tutu and his daughter actually wrote a book called The Book of Forgiving, which takes you through what he calls the fourfold path of forgiveness. And the first step in the fourfold path of forgiveness is that you actually have to tell the story. Because we can't let go of something if we are afraid to name it. If we're afraid to speak about it, it's never going to be gone from us. We have to be able to tell the story. And he has lots of different ways that you can tell the stories. I take people through a ritual where we tell the story to a rock. Because it's just a matter of getting it out, of you verbalizing it. It doesn't matter who's hearing it. It's you speaking it out. If we get it out of us, if we begin, as Kelly did so much work about taking us into our bodies, sometimes we have to let things out of our bodies too. We have to begin to let things go from our consciousness, from our experience. And the first thing we do to do that is to tell the story. The second thing is to name what it is that hurt you. What was the problem here? Naming it, naming the person, naming the situation, naming it, actually beginning to identify what it is. So You can tell this story, and this story may have multiple layers to it. But if you can find those specific things that were the problem there, and naming those hurts will actually begin to help release it also. The third step is to actually forgive. And there are lots of ways of doing that. What I have found so powerful is that I don't actually have to tell the person I've forgiven them. I have to do it within myself. I actually have to say that to myself. I forgive, I release this. I am no longer allowing this to be a part of my experience, and so I am forgiving it. And so letting that go, telling it, granting forgiveness to the situation. And then the last one, the Archbishop says, is to decide whether you are going to renew the relationship or whether you're going to release it. Because both are totally acceptable. There are people that we don't want to have in our lives. There are hurts that have happened to us that we don't want to give the person an opportunity to repeat it. And so we need to release those things. There are some situations where we can renew the relationship, where it's okay, where just speaking it out, granting forgiveness, allows for a space in there for a healing to take place, where you can then begin to re-engage with the person. Only you can decide for yourself whether you need to renew the relationship or release it. And both are completely acceptable. I love one of the lines in the book of Joy. The Archbishop says to the Dalai Lama, the only people who don't believe in forgiveness are the ones who have never done it. Because once you've done forgiveness, once you have actually participated in a situation that was traumatic for you and you released it through the power of forgiveness, then you know how much that can do for you. And once you've done that, it's something you can't forget. And so you just remember in each situation, this is another opportunity for us to forgive. To forgive 70 times 7 if necessary. So forgiveness is really a super powerful practice. The second practice that they talk about for the pillars of joy is gratitude. And gratitude is also, again, it's another one. The Dalai Lama says every day, he says, as I wake up, he says to the world, I am fortunate to be alive. I have a precious human life. I am not going to waste it. I am so grateful. And so every morning he says this as he wakes up, that giving gratitude just for the fact that he is alive, just for the fact that he has this wonderful life, this wonderful way of expressing himself in the world. So gratitude is another one of those things that allows us to shift our perspective. When we can begin to get grateful about something, even when it's a challenge, we can begin to shift our perspective about it. Remember when I was talking about the perspective in the first week of the month? We often think that a situation that's happened in our lives is happening to us. That we feel almost like we're a victim in the situation, that something is being done to us, or something is being done to harm us, or we just feel like we're not in control here. But if we begin to shift that and say, what is happening for me in this situation? We can begin to get a different perspective on that. And if we can say, I am grateful for what is happening to me in this situation, that changes it even more. And so sometimes we encounter different difficulties in our lives that give us an opportunity to actually begin to shift our perspective about things. And then beginning to practice that gratitude towards it will really begin to change the perspective even broader in there. They're quoting Brother David Steidl Ross, who I've read some of his books. He's a Catholic Benedictine monk. And he says, it's not happiness that makes us grateful. It is gratefulness that makes us happy. Every moment is a gift. There is no certainty that you will have another moment with all of the opportunities that it contains, just like this one. The gift within every gift is the opportunity it offers us. And most often the opportunity is to enjoy it. But sometimes a difficult gift is given to us, and that can be an opportunity to rise to the challenge. Sometimes we are given difficult situations, and we actually grow from it. If you think about the Archbishop Desmond Tutu and his book of forgiving is all about the reconciliation commission that was put together after apartheid ended in South Africa. And the atrocities that happened in South Africa could have kept that country in a standstill and never let it grow into what it has become today. But because they did this reconciliation commission and allowed people an opportunity to speak directly to the people that they had harmed or to the people that had harmed them, and allowed them the opportunity to practice forgiveness. I remember one of the stories that's in there is about a young girl and her brother who watched their father being brutally murdered. And the girl says into the Reconciliation Commission, I just need to know who to forgive so I can let this go. I just need to know who to forgive so that I can now be grateful that I still have life. Because as long as I'm holding on to this, I can't. I can't get to the place of gratitude because I have not forgiven the person. So I just need to be able to name them, identify who that is, and say to them, I forgive you. Because then I can find the gratitude in my place for still being here. Otherwise, that unforgiven thing is holding on to the person. So it's such a powerful process to have the opportunity to forgive, have the opportunity to be in gratitude. I was recently reading a story about a man who was imprisoned on death row, wrongly accused, was imprisoned on death row for 30 years. And he spent most of that time counseling the other inmates that were also on death row and counseling the guards who were keeping them. Because it was as traumatic for the guards, well, it was traumatic for the guards, I don't know if it was as traumatic, but it was traumatic for the guards to be in that situation, and of course it was traumatic for the people that were on death row. And so this man found a place where he could actually counsel them. And he came out of the prison, and he was interviewed by 60 Minutes, and they asked him if he was angry at the people who put him in jail. And he said, no, I can't be angry at them anymore, otherwise they've taken the next 30 years of my life too. If I continue to hold on to the anger and not be grateful for the opportunities that I've had to move through it, then I can't live on the rest of my life. That hook is still there. And so forgiveness and gratitude are so intertwined with each other. To have the opportunity to forgive and then to be grateful for the situations. And, you know, it's not about ignoring the negative aspects of our lives, but it's about changing that perspective to where we can see what is happening in here for me that I can actually grow from it. We all have challenges in our lives. We are all faced with situations that can take us down. But if we can begin to shift our perspective through practices like forgiveness and gratitude, then we can begin to have a different experience of these situations in our lives. And so, as I said, I like to take our principles that we're talking about, and I like to anchor them in spiritual practice. And so one of the spiritual practices I do is a practice of forgiveness and gratitude. And it has changed over the years. But it started off as a journaling practice, where every day I would write down 10 things that I needed to forgive and 10 things that I was grateful for. And like I said, over the years it's changed. So now it's basically, as I lay down in bed at night, I bring up 3 things to forgive and 3 things that I'm grateful for. I don't have to write it down anymore, but it keeps me engaged in that process of forgiveness and gratitude. Most often, the forgiveness is about something I've done myself. And so that's always an opportunity to forgive ourselves as well. So last night I was tired as the evening progressed, and so I didn't do the dishes. So last night when I laid down in bed, I forgave myself for leaving dishes in the sink. Now, they will still be there when I get home today because I didn't do them this morning either. So another opportunity to forgive. But otherwise, if I had laid down in bed, knowing that there were dirty dishes in the sink, it would have been on my mind. I would be thinking, oh, I need to get up and do those dishes. I should get up and do those dishes. No, I'm really tired. I don't want to do those dishes. You can just imagine how that just kind of goes, right? Your mind starts spinning like that about all that. But when I did the forgiveness practice, that was it. I forgave myself for not doing them, and I went to sleep. So finding those things that are on our minds throughout the day. Maybe you had a lousy interaction with a friend or a coworker or a clerk in a store, and it's just kind of, I don't know, am I the only one who has those messages chattering through my mind all day long? No, okay, I just thought I'd check. Because, I'm the best at arguing after I've left the situation. I can argue with myself and that other person like crazy. But if I forgive, it stops it. It stops that whole mental spin cycle for me. And then if I can find something to be grateful for, it's even better. So I didn't do my dishes last night, but my gratitude was I have dishes to eat off of. I have food that I can fix. I have a beautiful kitchen that I can cook in. And so my gratitude was very simple, and it all came from not doing the dishes. So anyway. So it's a practice that you can begin to engage in, something that you can begin to bring into your life in a different way. Like I said, I started off, I had to journal it. I had to be down because, I was also a little obsessive about making sure I did all my practices that I said I was going to do. And so, you can't imagine that either, Make sure that we get it all done. And then, of course, I had to forgive myself when I didn't get it done. And then it was all this, just a whole nightmare of it. So anyway, I've refined it down to something that works for me. Just something simple, but to incorporate gratitude and forgiveness together is a way that you can release a lot of the things that are holding us back, a lot of the anger or the fear or the things that are keeping us from experiencing the fullness of joy. And the more that we can release those things, the more joy we can bring into our life. We make room for joy in our lives when we don't have these things hanging on our heads, when our mind isn't chattering constantly about somebody done me somebody wrong. And we can let that go and begin to experience more joy in life. And so that's my wish for you, is that you find a practice. There are so many of them out there, so many different ways of forgiving people, so many different ways of practicing gratitude, bringing gratitude into your life in a more conscious way each and every day. Find the things that work for you and begin to use those in your life more consistently. And I think after a while I'll stop having so many somebody done me wrong songs. So let's take this into prayer. So our prayer is a little different. If you haven't experienced it before, we call it spiritual mind treatment. It's 5 steps. In the first step, I recognize the presence of the divine. And it doesn't matter what I call it. I call it lots of different things. God, Spirit. My favorite right now is creative love intelligence. I use that a lot. The universe. Doesn't really matter what you call it. We recognize the presence of the one. And then we unify ourselves with it, because if there's only one, I have to be one with it. And because I'm one with it, I know that you are all one with it too. And then we speak truth. Truth about the situation, truth about whatever it is that we are wanting to affirm in our lives. And then we give thanks and we let it go. All right, so if you would, just turn within. I do this by closing my eyes, taking a breath, allowing myself to connect with my body and with this time and this space. So right here and right now, I know that there is only one power, one presence, one divine creative source of all. And though it goes by many names and shows up in many ways, I simply know it as the one universal presence, the one creative love intelligence, the one power that has brought everything into existence. This one is unconditional love. It is perfect peace. It is divine harmony, and it is infinite intelligence. And because I know there's only one, I know that I am one with it. That all of that creative love intelligence resides right in the heart of my being. I am a place of unconditional love, of perfect peace, of wisdom and intelligence and harmony and balance. And because I know this is true for me, I know it is true for everyone, I know that each one of us is that divine and perfect emanation of the One, endowed with all that God is. And so knowing this, I speak my word of truth. I know that each one of us is a place for infinite joy, a place from which joy is expressed, a place where joy is felt deeply. And I know that through the practices of forgiveness and gratitude, we experience that joy more readily, more freely, and more often. I know that the power of forgiveness and gratitude is a driving force for the experience of joy. And I know that each one of us experiences joy in a deeper way as we forgive and as we are grateful. And so knowing this truth, I just simply give thanks. I'm so grateful to see what is. I'm so grateful to see it in each person in front of me. I'm so grateful to feel it in my own life and to see it in the world around me. And I release this word into the law, into the creative mind that always says yes, that knows no lack or limitation, and is always unfolding perfectly. I let it go, and I let it be. And so it is. Amen. Beautiful. All right, so this is the time in our service when we share our tithes and offerings. We have numerous ways for you to give. For those of you that are online, we have a link right below the video on the YouTube channel right there. So you can go into those and click several different ways to give. We have online giving through our website. We have text to give number. And we have a new way of doing it through Zelle, if you're interested in doing Zelle, for those of you that do that often. And so if you need to know the website or anything, it's on the back of the handout you were given this morning, all of that information. And so I got our ushers here ready. And Justin is going to give us another beautiful song. All right. Thank you.
Together we rise as the sun lights up the sky, opening our hearts to the spirit of love inside. Together we rise, God flows through you and I. Together one in spirit, we rise, we rise. In times of struggle, we seek the Spirit of God within. Receptive to our calling, we love our neighbors and our friends. Relaxing in the knowing God's grace, it never ends. We gather as one people and with joyful hearts we sing. Together we rise as the sun lights up the sky, opening our hearts to the spirit of love inside. Together we rise, God flows through you and I. Together one in spirit, we rise, we rise. As we stay in gratitude, we let Spirit lead the way. Listening to the still small voice, it's always there to say. Trust in God with all your heart, the path ahead is clear. We unite together and there's nothing for us to fear. Together we rise as the sun lights up the sky, opening our hearts to the spirit of love inside. Together we rise. God flows through you and I. Together one in spirit. We rise, we rise. Together we rise. As the sun lights up the sky, opening our hearts to the spirit of love inside. Together we rise. God flows through you and I. Together one in spirit. We rise, we rise.
Written by Justin, yes. Those of you that didn't know that, this is our community song that Justin wrote for us a couple years ago. Thank you. Okay, just a couple of announcements here. We have had our wonderful practitioners filling in for all of our service teams since we came back in person together this month. But we're now ready to rebuild our service teams. And so if you are at all interested in being an usher or a greeter or helping with our hospitality, I have some sign-up sheets over here on the table. We'd love to have your information, and I'll be contacting you to start building a schedule and see if we can get a lead for each one of these teams. But this is an opportunity for you to engage in sacred service. It's one of our really powerful practices. I found for myself that nothing got me out of my troubles quicker than doing for somebody else. And so for me, engaging in sacred service, I used to call the bookstore at our church my sanctuary. We had the big sanctuary, but that was my sanctuary because that's where I went whenever I was messed up and I needed to get my head clear. I'd go and work in the bookstore. And so we have, like I said, we have service teams over here. And then we are also looking for people that might be interested in sponsoring our hospitality. It usually costs between $20 and $25 to get refreshments for our community each week. And so if you're interested in doing that, you can sign up over here. And also, if you remember the flowers we had last week, the beautiful flowers, if you're interested in sponsoring service flowers for a special event in your life, please go ahead and sign up. Like I've already put down the day for my parents. It would have been their 69th wedding anniversary. So I've already got myself signed up for that. So if there's anything that you're interested in acknowledging with a beautiful floral bouquet, please let us know. So also, as we're finishing up this morning, we would like your assistance in putting the chairs and tables back together. And if you have any coffee cups or anything like that, make sure you pick them up and throw those away so that we leave the space clean. But if you could stay for a few moments and help us put the tables and chairs back together, we would be very grateful. All right, so let's just stand. And we'll do a closing benediction here. This is one of my favorite ones. We've used it a lot here at Centers for Spiritual Living. Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
It is this thing called joy.
It is this thing called joy.
Joy is in my mind.
Joy is in my mind.
Joy is in my heart.
Joy is in my heart.
Joy is in all that I do.
Joy is in all that I do.
I am joy.
I am joy.
I express joy.
I express joy.
And I share joy wherever I go.
And I share joy wherever I go.
Thank you, Joy. See you all next week, folks. Good song? Good. Okay.
I'm walking with the Spirit, and I'm talking to the Spirit. I'm learning from the Spirit, and I'm turning to the Spirit. I'm growing in the Spirit, and it's showing the Spirit. I'm walking with the Spirit in front of me. Well, I'm walking with the Spirit. I'm talking to the Spirit. I'm learning from the Spirit, and I'm turning to the Spirit. I'm growing in the Spirit, and it's showing the Spirit. I'm walking with the Spirit in front of me. When I find myself in one of those situations that's leading to some kind of drama or confrontation, I go within and get plugged into my friend before it's too late. I put the Spirit in front of me to make those crooked places straight. I'm walking with the Spirit, and I'm talking to the Spirit.